There is a kind of expense that never feels dangerous when it appears. It does not arrive as a shocking bill or a bad investment that forces reconsideration. It usually arrives as a small convenience, a trial period, a streaming service, a cloud storage plan, a delivery pass, a fitness app, a newsletter, a premium account, or a tiny monthly payment attached to something that once felt useful. At the moment of purchase, the number is almost too small to question. Dollars feels like less than lunch. $12 feels like the cost of avoiding friction. $19 feels like a reasonable price for a better version of life, especially when the charge is separated from the emotional weight of a larger decision. This is why the subscription economy is so powerful. It does not ask people to make one large commitment that triggers caution. It asks them to make many small commitments that feel harmless in isolation. Each one passes through the mind as a separate decision, and because each one seems manageable, the total system remains hidden. The real cost is not only the money leaving the account each month. The deeper cost is that the household budget becomes fragmented, and once spending becomes fragmented, it becomes harder for the brain to see the pattern. A one-time purchase has a clear psychological boundary. You see the price, you feel the loss, and you decide whether the object is worth exchanging for the money. A subscription changes that relationship. It turns a decision into a background process. Instead of asking for permission again, it quietly renews itself, month after month, using the fact that inattention is easier than cancellation. This is not because people are careless or irrational. It is because the structure of the product is designed around human attention, and attention is limited. The first layer of the trap is mental accounting. People do not naturally experience money as one unified pool, even if mathematically it is. They separate it into categories: rent, food, transport, entertainment, savings, emergencies, personal comfort. Small subscriptions often escape these categories because they are not large enough to deserve their own identity. They become almost invisible, living somewhere between entertainment and convenience, between work and lifestyle, between a necessary tool and a forgotten habit. Because the charge is small, the brain refuses to spend much energy analyzing it. But the math does not care whether the expense felt small. A $10 monthly charge is $120 a year. A $25 monthly charge is $300 a year. 5 subscriptions averaging $15 each become $75 a month, or $900 a year. 10 subscriptions averaging $20 each become $200 a month, or $2,400 a year. None of those individual payments feels like a financial event, but together they form a silent fixed cost, and fixed costs reduce flexibility before the month has even begun. This is the hidden difference between spending and commitment. Spending happens once. Commitment follows you. A person may believe they are deciding freely each month, but the decision was made months ago when the subscription began. The present version of the person is now paying for the optimism, curiosity, or convenience of a past version. Sometimes that past version was right. A tool may still provide value. A service may still save time. But sometimes the subscription survives only because cancellation requires effort. And effort is exactly what the subscription model is quietly priced against. Behavioral economists often describe this through friction. Signing up is usually easy, emotionally positive, and immediate. Canceling is often delayed, hidden, slightly confusing, or simply postponed. Even when cancellation is not technically difficult, it has psychological friction. You have to admit the service is not being used, review spending, and interrupt your day for something that will not create an immediate reward. The benefit of canceling is real, but it is spread across the future. The cost of canceling is small, but it happens now. Human behavior tends to favor the present. This is where the subscription model becomes more than a pricing system. It becomes a behavioral machine. It earns money not only from satisfied users, but also from distracted users, optimistic users, forgetful users, and users who tell themselves they might return later. The business does not need every subscriber to be highly engaged. It only needs enough people to remain attached after active use declines. In many industries, the most profitable customer may not be the one who uses the product constantly, but the one who pays quietly and rarely asks whether the product still earns its place. There is also a deeper emotional layer. Subscriptions often sell identities, not just services. A language app sells the identity of someone improving themselves. A fitness membership sells the identity of someone becoming healthier. A financial tool sells the identity of someone becoming more organized. A premium software plan sells the identity of someone building something serious. Canceling can feel less like removing a charge and more like giving up on a version of yourself. This is why unused subscriptions can carry emotional weight. The payment becomes a small monthly vote for an imagined future. That imagined future is not always harmful. People do need tools, education, entertainment, storage, and services that make life easier. The problem begins when the symbolic value remains after the practical value has faded. In that moment, the subscription stops serving the user and starts serving the story the user wants to believe. The charge becomes a reminder of intention rather than evidence of use. Over time, the account fills with quiet promises, each one inexpensive enough to ignore, but collectively large enough to shape the budget. The mathematics of subscription creep is simple, but its effect is often underestimated because it grows slowly. A household does not usually go from 0 subscriptions to 20 overnight. It adds one during a stressful week, another during a promotion, another when a free trial converts, another when work requires a tool, another when convenience is bundled into a monthly fee. Because each addition has a reason, there is rarely a single moment that feels irresponsible. The problem is, and cumulative problems are difficult to feel in real time. This is similar to how financial pressure often develops. Most people do not lose flexibility because of one obvious decision. They lose it through many small automatic obligations that slowly raise the baseline cost of living. The monthly budget becomes crowded before the person realizes it. Then, when prices rise, income changes, or an unexpected bill appears, the lack of flexibility feels sudden, even though it was built gradually. The subscription trap is not dramatic, which is exactly why it works. It operates below the threshold of alarm. The annual view is useful because it restores scale. When a person looks at monthly charges, the numbers appear small and separate. When they multiply each charge by 12, the pattern becomes more visible. This does not mean every annualized subscription is bad. It means the decision becomes clearer. A service that costs $180 a year may still be worthwhile if it genuinely improves life, saves time, supports work, or replaces a larger expense. But once the annual number is visible, the mind can compare it against other uses of money. The solution is not to reject every recurring payment. That would be too simplistic. Modern life uses subscriptions because they can be efficient, flexible, and useful. The better question is whether each subscription has an active role or merely a historical one. An active subscription is used, valued, and intentionally chosen. A historical subscription began for a reason, but continues mainly because no one has reviewed it. The difference between those two categories is not moral, it is managerial. This kind of review can be calm and unemotional. It does not require shame, it requires visibility. List the subscriptions, write the monthly cost, annualize the number, and mark whether the service was used recently, whether it would be missed, and whether it supports something real in your current life, rather than something imagined by a past version of you. The point is not to cut as much as possible. The point is to restore authorship over automatic spending. When the subscription trap is understood clearly, it reveals a broader lesson about money. Financial systems do not only shape behavior through large decisions. They shape behavior through defaults, renewals, convenience, and tiny repeated choices. The modern economy is very good at turning attention into revenue, and recurring payments are one of its cleanest tools. The individual does not need to respond with fear or suspicion, only with awareness. A small charge can be perfectly reasonable, but it should not be invisible. The quiet discipline is to make recurring expenses visible before they become identity, habit, or background noise. Once visible, they can be chosen again. And that is the essential difference. A subscription that is chosen again is a tool. A subscription that renews without being noticed is a leak. The numbers may be small, but the principle is large. The money that disappears automatically is still money, and the life it shapes is still yours.